And next one is strategies for addressing application weaknesses in low scorers or limited experience. I think Arshwin can start with that.
I think this is something which is very apt. So no GMAT or a low GPA in an undergrad does impact the admission to a top school. It's almost like imagine you're taking part in a race where people with an average score are on the start line. The ones above average are some points ahead the start line, and you are a bit behind the start line itself. So assuming all things are constant, you need to outshine the other elements of your application so that this does not impact your outcome. In my case, I had a 640 for my GMAT, which was considerably a lower score. But then my aim was to actually target the schools where I fall in the range at least, so that I chose my school selection very carefully, of course, with the help of my consultant at ND and beyond. So we did categorize schools into the safety, reach, and the dream bucket. And that's how I went ahead. But I would highly recommend saying that incorporating other aspects to shine your lower score is the key here. This could be through your work or through your ability to show the same numerical ability that GMAT did. So all are these are practically, I think we'll also cover this in the subsequent questions and where I can detail them further. But you need to have other parts in your application that can substantiate your lower score.
Absolutely, Arshwin. Rahul, do you want to talk about that also, especially because you got multiple admits and some places you were also a little lesser than the average, but you still made it through. Yeah.
I think when it comes to, I belong to probably the worst pool of candidates, very nightmarish pool called the Indian Male Engineer Group. And even my GMAT is not the best. I have a 710. So for our group, it's considered below average. And I remember I've spoken to more than 30, 40 odd people even before I started the process. And they were all like, Indian male engineer, you need 30, 40 points above the average and all. And I'm not going to lie, it is going to do you a lot of good. But if you don't, I think the only downside is you might not get as much scholarship as you would hope. So I don't want to sugarcoat that. It definitely does help, in our category at least. And because I've applied to almost 24 schools, I think I've seen that trend. So that's the only downside. But I wouldn't say it's going to necessarily affect your admission chances. As you said, if somebody comes with, so let's say low score, I consider myself as a low score, relatively to the pool I belong to, and maybe not as much in comes to low experience, I'm at average. So over there, I think the difficulty would be finding differentiators, right? Maybe you don't have the very typical leadership experience of managing people or something like that. For me, my differentiator was, the fact that it was a family business. And eventually, when I think the last couple of years or so, I was lucky enough to manage people. And it was a very practical thing, and it's not easy because even though my name is there on the door, there are people from IIT Delhi who's running multiple departments and all, and they can have a lot of head weight. So as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, when you have to get things done from them and you have to convince them, it takes a lot of effort, and you need to be very careful with the way you communicate, and you need to be very apt, at certain things. So that taught me a lot over the last few years. But yeah, going back to the question, I think the differentiators can be anything. When you talk about leadership experience, it need not be the typical leadership experience. You could even touch upon maybe the drive to do something, that you recommended something at a team meeting. I mean, they know you. If you have less than 3 years of work ex, the adcom not expecting some, very extremely good work ex or something, or something like that. They know you're just fresh out of college and that you're still learning. So if you can highlight drive, or that you were at least proactive in participating, and that you were recognized for some of it and showing some impact, then maybe that's a good way to start. And of course, if you have a good extracurricular background, I think that also helps offset these limitations.